Everybody, thanks for watching, and just a quick reminder that the new DVD is now available, download as well. I want to get into this video to really answer questions on, really programming the mind. And we talked about this before in meditation, but it's something I want to go into a little bit more and just talk about a lot of things that's upcoming, things that we have been seeing lately. And mostly, these things just really fit into everything that we have been experiencing as far as this whole attack on consciousness. So to really get people to understand and believe what's happening is to really go back. And I always like to go back into the history and really look at things and see how those things brought us to where we are today. So since we all understand there has been basically this oppression of African American people, and have videos where we take it all the way back to the 60s with integration and everything that happened with that. And we have to look at what has to happen for you to get a people to become something that you want them to become, something that they are not. So for us, it was for them to really get us to change our consciousness, change our appearance and who we are, our name, and we were perceived in the 60s, the 70s, 50s even, and everything, as people who were just trying to get ahead after coming out of, slavery, a depression, and so many other things we had to endure as African American people. And we was just a people really looking for equality. We marched on that. And to anybody with a heart, any good person, you could look at the plight of African American people and resonate with it, and and see us as a good people. And for the most part, that was happening. It was happening around the world. You had a lot of people who were speaking up about it. I showed the picture with Einstein when he came to America and was teaching at a HBCU, and people were really understanding what we were trying to accomplish, and we were at that time really just trying to fit in, and really get white America to see us as humans. And as I talk about, after everything we endured, slavery, Jim Crow and everything, by 1980s, we was closing a wealth gap between us and white America. That was a big deal. So you have to understand how, again, of course, we know they wouldn't allow that to happen. And I got into hip hop and everything we receive, the crack epidemic, and all the pieces that was put in place to change our consciousness. And you can see at that point in time, because people act like they don't see when it happened, we can see from the 80s on, there was a consciousness shift from a people who were up and coming to a destructive people whose whole image has been corrupted and changed into a people that is lost, a people that is violent, a people that is not intelligent, a people that is lazy. And this is what happened to us. We went from up and coming strong black people who was proud, who was understanding where we came from and our culture, and understanding we came from Africa. And when you start to go back and look at the 70s and a whole revolution, a movement, and how that was dismantled, you start seeing the TV shows, start seeing it in that, and in movies, and how they would mock and basically make fun of any black people or black person that was talking about black power. I mean, we can go back to the movie I'm Going to Get You Sucker. I was just watching it not too long ago. I'm Going to Get You Sucker. If you remember, you had Clarence Williams, the third character, who was preaching black power and everything like that. And, he was with the white woman. And same thing, if you remember episode of Sanford and Son, when Lamont became conscious, they made him look like he was tripping, like he was like on something, like he was just tripping about this black culture. And you start to see things like that, from mainstream media that was basically, making the conscious African look like a crazy person. Now, we all talk about, people being brainwashed and people being crazy. And especially when we talk about being brainwashed, people don't really understand how such a thing could happen. Like when we think about brainwashing, we think about an actual machine or person being, forced into a situation where their brain is washed, or where they are forced to believe something that they don't want to believe. But, we have to be real about the entire situation. If we're going to basically change the consciousness of an entire people, it has to be subtle. And these people are the masters at, hiding things in plain sight. So they use reverse psychology on us with the whole hip hop, gangster rap era with NWA, and making us believe that, the white man was saying that we cannot have this music. NWA was pushing the whole thing as if the white man saying we can't have it, and that made us want it more. And we just saying, we basically trying to talk about what's happening in the street, police brutality, and what's really going on. And we wasn't understanding that this was a Trojan horse to get us to ask for our own destruction, which is what we did. And as I talked about before, you had only C. Dolores Tucker and basically a bunch of people that was following her, the only people that was really seeing what was happening and speaking out against it. So this is the first step in beginning to change the consciousness of African American people with the music, when you understand, as I talk about, how powerful the music is and how it's influencing us. So for us, we gotta really just be real with ourselves to understand that there is a direct connection between our music and our consciousness, our music and the reality that we perceive today. We can see how we had the gangster rap, the whole hip hop culture come in and basically destroy the black community. That along with the crack epidemic. A lot of people want to simply blame it on the crack epidemic, but we got to look at the music that was promoting, the drug dealing and the gang banging and everything like that. This is a programming of consciousness. It's a consciousness shift to where you have to understand how your brain works and how consciousness works and what was being programmed into us to really get us to see, what we wanted to see and not what we needed to see. So we wanted to really see that the music was ours and it was good for us, and that, it was going to uplift us or what have you. But we really didn't see that it was really changing the minds of people and really getting them to act out what the music was displaying, saying, and everything like that. So this is what happened. There's a lot of people just want to act like it's no connection, that, just because you listen to gangster music don't mean that you are a bad person or you're going to kill people or what have you. But that's not for everybody. And in the cases that we see, we know for sure that that's a fact, that these people were influenced by drugs, the music, the culture to do what they have been doing. And we're seeing the direct connection, plain and simple. So I talked about this before, how it started off small and primitive with us just, simply changing our words, from saying that bad is good, that's bad, because this was the only way they can get us in the beginning. It was just, they couldn't really comprehend, a better way to start this thing off. So we started off with stupid stuff like saying that's dope, which dope is like a bad thing. Bad, that's a bad thing. We was taking bad words and making them good, small. And we, being creative as we are, just developed it, and just now we created what they call jive. Remember, it was called jive. You jive turkey, you talking jive talk, hood talk, slang, and it developed or what have you to where we're speaking bad things. Words is power. They understood that, we didn't. We're speaking negative things daily, putting it out into our consciousness, speaking to each other and passing this bad, consciousness around, and it just spread and spread. And it was the programming of our consciousness to accept, our destruction, and so on and so forth. We've seen it go from crack epidemic, hip hop, to everything we've been seeing, to we went from, in the 80s, closing the wealth gap between us and white America, to being in devastation. Poverty, crack, violence, completely destroyed our neighborhoods, our image, and everything we was trying to be, everything that we fought for to get to that point, to be leading in many categories, to have so many black people owning businesses and going to college and doing well, to the numbers just drastic drop off. The only difference, which is why we have to look at these things, crack epidemic, gangster music. and we don't want to make that connection. The crack, we understand is bad, but the hip hop music, we don't want to let go. And it's an even bigger drug than crack itself. So that was the programming. That was the programming right there. You know, all of our leaders were assassinated, dead and gone. The other ones was bought off. And then now we had a bunch of false leaders and nobody to really lead African American people, black people, to tell us, you know, this is the right way to go. That was done. And that's the first thing you do when you're trying to basically infiltrate the people and control them. You have to get rid of the leaders. And the ones you can't buy off, you have to kill. So that was out the way. So now we are left open. Nobody's really there to give us direction. So there is no programming of the consciousness from a good source. So they stepped in and took over, you know, with that whole process and gave us our destruction. So the programming we've been following has been the culture that was given to us, which is this hip hop culture. There has been nothing else. Before, we had the Civil Rights March. We had Black Power. We had Black Panthers. We had this unity that was in our consciousness that we was following. And we could see it in the 70s. You could see it on television. You could see it everywhere with people with the Black Power fist and people just really into Black Power and Black economics and building and growing. You know, that was changed. They bought up the TV companies. They bought up the radio stations that Black people had and owned. And they condensed everything into a situation where anything that could be used to grow consciousness, to spread a message, they owned it. Media, newspaper, what have you, so that we could never go into a situation where we can appeal and speak to the masses of our people and have control over it, full control. You know, and this is why, you know, my whole thing about YouTube, and even though you see, I mean, you have to be careful now the way you word videos and what you put up, because now they're trying to hit us with, as I showed you guys, with age restrictions, saying that your video is age restricted and stuff like that. So the last facet of freedom to really put out information to our people, which is, you know, YouTube, the internet, is being slowly taken away and it's going to be gone soon. And this is something that we've seen coming. They're going to get everything, you know, anything that's going to be able to get us to really pass around knowledge and grow. And then now they have so much confidence in the system and, you know, the control that's happening with this culture. You know, they just letting stuff go now because it's that much stronger than ever, the control. Anything they put up, we follow. You know, they just, you know, controlling us. So that's what it was. You know, we had all that stuff come and go, and then you have the change of our consciousness into their favor for us to be going the direction they wanted us to go, and we changed as a people. You know, we went from being united to us being about ourselves and to us being about fitting in with the culture. And when I'm talking about programming your consciousness, it's to program your consciousness against that very thing, to see what it really is, and to make sure that the way you are moving in your life is not, you know, it's not towards the programming and because of the programming. A lot of things we do is because we have been programmed to do it. And with meditation and getting into meditation and programming yourself to follow what you want to do, where you want to be at. This is what I'm talking about in meditation. This is what I mean when I'm talking about programming the subconscious, because we see what they have given us with this culture and everything else. And we are not the ones that is putting that information into our consciousness, then who is? It is wide open, 24/7, 365. Your consciousness is open. And music, the most powerful way to put stuff in it. Movies, powerful way to put stuff in it. Television or what have you. And these are things that you're going to be subjected to in this culture. And they understand that. So it's like an advertisement slot. If you know a bunch of people is going to be here, you better come and try to sell some stuff. You better come and try to advertise to all these people because they're going to be there. So it's the same thing with music and television. Since they know you're going to watch and you're going to listen, let's give them the message. Let's program them. And if you're not conscious of that, you're going to fall victim to it. And I see a lot of so-called conscious people struggling with it, trying to be conscious, and then, they can't help but jump into the programming, the culture. So again, if you're not programming yourself to follow your own plan, to be your own person, your own boss, to do what you want to do, you're going to be programmed to follow what they want you to do. And this is exactly what has happened to us and what we are doing. So to really get into it, you have one thing in between your physical body and your consciousness, and that's energy. As I talked about in meditation 1, you have consciousness, basically sending energy to the brain and causing the body to animate, to react, or what have you. So if you are messing with the go-between, which is the energy, manipulating that, which it goes to the brain first, then you can control the person. So what's happening is we are, of course, receiving this music in movies, TV, or what have you, and processing it, of course, in the brain, and it basically changing our consciousness to get us to act. So if you think about it in the sense of, if there's a thought that occurs before movement, and that thought is an energy, and whatever that thought is going to push your physical body, your movement towards that whatever, then imagine if you can interject, off consciousness to allow your body, your very movement, to move towards that programming. And this is what we're doing. This is what we have been programmed to do. Only we believe it's you, because it is you. And when you do something and you've done it and it's about you and it's private or what have you, and you think it's your own thought and your own emotion and feeling, you have absolutely no clue, you've been programmed to do it, that's programming. Now, they have been programming us since slavery, with the Bible, religion, seeing the white man as God, as this authoritative figure, as being smarter and better than us. And imagine, it's sad when you go back and look at the history. And, Bill Cosby did a special when he was just talking about how black people was trying to fit in, how we was dyeing our hair and, straightening our hair, putting perms in our hair, making our hair straight to fit in with white folks, dressing like them, talking like them, and everything we could do to appease them and fit in. And, we couldn't even get that. And we, in our, exile, you might as well say, we came together as people and began to understand who we are and begin to build and understand economics and begin to grow and have companies and good economics and businesses. And as I talked about before, it wasn't like people say it is in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s. We had companies, we had businesses, we had education. That's a fact. And it would have spread, and we would have been way better off had we stayed on our own and made them come to us with respect before we was forced to join with them and be treated the way we was treated. I would have rather had it Malcolm's way than Martin's way, to tell you the truth, without the religious stuff. But we needed to be a little bit more militant and educated before we made that transition into integration. And we needed to understand who we were. Had we, just think about it. Had we, what if we, everything we know now that we talk about, imagine us knowing that before integration. Just think about that. And that's what they was afraid of. The information was coming out and they had to do it. If we would knew who we was and everything that happened in the history before integration, it would have never happened. We would have been so separated and we would have had our stuff together with that bond. It wasn't even that long ago, and it's so much changed since then. But the real wake-up call for them was the fact that no matter what they've done to us, we've always risen up. We've always come out of it. And this has been, besides slavery, the longest downtime we've had in a long time. We still down in this process. And the people who are up are the ones that are bought off. And that's what people fail to realize. We're talking about these athletes that are successful and movie stars and musicians, what have you. They are controlled, plain and simple. It's a controlled control, if you understand. It's like, okay, so let's give them this to make them, strive towards being a musician or strive towards being a model or actor, we're going to control all this stuff anyway, and then use it to control the rest of the people that's not under our, control or in our pockets, to control the masses, the rest of the public. And this is what it is. So when you go those routes, you're in control anyway. Anything that you're putting out to the public, they control it. What makes you think they wouldn't? And this really goes towards a lot of people who thinking about being in the music industry or actor or what have you. It's control to control us. Plain and simple. They're not going to leave us to our own, devices to come up what we want to come up with. So you control that anger and frustration and rage, that power, that talent that we have as black people, and you give us sports. As I talked about this before, you give us sports, football, basketball. Let's control these tall dudes, who's powerful dudes, these strong dudes who have this pent up aggression, who might turn it on us, who might be smart enough to do something with it. And, so we go to look at our most strongest black men. We go look and find them. Where are they? They're in sports. They're in sports, football, basketball. They're in sports. It's not, too many of them. Of course, you got regular dudes that work out, what have you. But if you are an athlete, then that's what you're probably going towards. Some type of sporting anything, competition, entertainment, some type of sports you're probably involved in, which is going to control, your power, your talent. And they control that. But it's about that, conscious understanding of what they're trying to do and being able to curve it. So, again, us having our own is definitely the way to go in so many aspects. But if we are not programming our consciousness to understand that, we should be following our own paths and not jumping on to what's been put out there for us to follow and fail. So the concept is not hard, it's simple. You follow a recipe. You do things in these steps, a certain amount of this, a little of that. And if you do everything correctly, you end up, with a cake or what have you. But you got to that end. You got to where you wanted to be because you followed these steps, these directions, and everything worked out. So if you're not programming yourself with those same steps to get to where you want to be, then you're not going to get there. The cake is not going to come out right if you don't follow the recipe the right way. So for what you're trying to do, there's a recipe. It's a recipe for it. Whatever type of success you're trying to go towards, there's a recipe for it. There's steps to getting there. If you don't program yourself to follow those steps, it's not as easy as you just saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If you're not constantly putting it into yourself the way they're constantly trying to put something else in that place, then that something else is going to overpower what you're trying to accomplish. And that's what meditation is about. You making sure that that is at the forefront, those steps that you want, and not that programming, because the programming is out there and it's everywhere. Unless you're going to isolate yourself from everything, you're going to be susceptible to the programming, and you're going to think, even right now, you can beat it, you have control over it, and little by little, slowly, you'll see it'll take over. It'll win. Plain and simple. This is why people say when some people get rich, when they get money, they change. Because now, the whole mission is just over. It's done. Whatever you was trying to do, is out the way. Money comes in and take over, and there's a power with money that people just follow. And if you're not conscious when you have a certain amount of money, you will fall victim to that consciousness of the money, to that whole programming of the money. And it's something you got to be, definitely wary about and definitely understand before you really jump into certain situations. If the programming is not there for you to understand the pitfalls, the things that's in the way to hinder you, you're going to fall for them every single time. So programming is key. Meditation is key. And there's a lot of people out there who are trying to get you to believe that meditation is just this spiritual thing that's something else, that's not about programming yourself to change the consciousness that is, basically moving you to the direction that they want you to move in. So now tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day in America, my brother's birthday also. And the Purge, the first Purge is coming out tomorrow. And I believe after tomorrow, after a lot of people see that movie, it's going to be a lot of talk about it, a lot of outrage probably. And Just by looking at the trailer, we see it looks predominantly African American, black people, and it's a weird thing. The first purge. What is that about? So again, as I said, this is going to be something. I talked about this in the Time video. It's going to be something that a lot of people are going to look at and panic over, or have a lot to say, and not realize that this stuff is put out there, just like everything else with the whole racial tension was put out there to curve us in a certain direction, to get us to act out of who we are. And they have already gotten us to do that. All this stuff is building up, is leading to something. We keep seeing the constant, bombardment of racial tension, assaults against black people, and, racism and racist stuff all throughout the media. So much stuff going on. It's leading to something. And it's leading to a point to where black people are going to snap, or it's going to push us to do something that they want us to do that we don't really want to do. So we got to be mindful of that and understand it's a trap, and just part of this whole control thing. Plain and simple. They do not put out nothing they don't want us to see. It's just that simple. So we understand something to be controversial. Why put it out? Why talk about it? These people have responsibilities. If you're going to, put out something that can cause a riot, why would you do something like that? That's something that's intentional. Why would you talk about something and put out something that's going to cause tension, racial tension, problems in this country? That is by design. This is what they want to do. So everything they show us, is for a reason. I talked about that. I put a picture up on Instagram about the kids in a little detention center, and as I said, that is something that they want us to see. Plain and simple. If they are not going to care about kids being bombed in Syria, buildings falling down, crushing kids to death, destroying families, destroying people. If they're not going to care about that, what makes you think they're going to care about Mexican kids being taken away from, their family? If they don't care about us, black kids being killed by cops, come on. And again, by them, people crying on TV. I talked about that in the post. I forget her name. She was crying about it, and you had this whole hotline. We ain't getting no hotline for police brutality to stop. So again, it's another spit in our face for them to show us that our lives is worthless. Plain and simple. And everybody's all in an uproar about what's happening, and not looking at the track record of this government. Plain and simple. As I said, we had so many black on black. We just look at the black on black crime part of it. So much black on black crime, cops killing black people, all that stuff was happening. Congress didn't move an inch. You had all the school shootings and everything that's been happening with the school shootings and what have you, and white people being killed. Now they want to take away automatic weapons. It's legal action that want to be, put in place when white people are being killed, but when black people are being murdered, it's nothing. So again, all of this is manipulation. Plain and simple. And we need to be, really mindful about it and not act on it, and stop programming each other to follow, the programming, what they're putting out. Because when they put this stuff out and we take it in, and most of the time we take it in wrong, and then we repost it, we share it, and we're spreading the programming. So this is why I don't share none of that crap anyway. When I do talk about it, it's to get people to be mindful about the deception that's in it. So, where we are at as a people basically speaks for itself. What has changed? Nothing. We have been doing the same thing over and over again, having little mini moments of, revolution talk and rising up talk, only for it to just, fade away once the outspoken voice is gone. Somebody comes along and gives a good speech or say something, and then we talk about it and it's a big deal. But then once that voice is not there to really lead us, we don't follow up. We go right back to the norm. Nobody wants to really be the outspoken leader and lead us to, a situation that's going to benefit us. And, it's kind of dangerous to do so right now anyway. But as I said before, it is up to us as individuals to really wake up and be the change within our own selves and in our own family and generation, and let that spread. We are so far behind. It's not going to be something quick that's going to, lead to us, have any kind of revolution. Everything is within. We have to go within each and every one of ourselves to really find that change and really focus on what's going to help us grow and be better as a person, and take the knowledge that we learn and be able to spread it to our kids and so on and so forth. Because the culture, the way the system is set up now, is set up very well for us to not be able to, like we could back in the 60s, go in the corner and just the whole block of come and listen to somebody spit some truth. For us to be, to do that anymore again, and to just get that knowledge out and then have it really resonate and stay with the people. See, it's different now, because even if you get the people in a crowd and you get the respect from that crowd to get them to actually listen to you, once they leave, it's like church. They go back to sinning. People go back to doing exactly, going exactly against everything you just spoke about. Now, this is how we know it's the programming. Because you would think after all the police killings and shooting and everything that's been going on with the cops and this attack on black people, that we would be stronger as a people. That we wouldn't see no black on black crime. After all the shootings and everything that was happening with, everything that happened with Trayvon Martin and all the other Eric Garner and all other shootings, what have you, you would think us as black people would have just been like, yo, we got to chill out. But it's been still, black on black crime like crazy. And then you have the racist white man that can sit and point at it and say, what about that? Because they don't understand. And the people that's involved don't understand that it's the control. It is the control. And it's the control of the consciousness that's pushing them to those actions. And if we are not controlling our own consciousness, they are 24/7, 365. It is out there. And as I said, it began since slavery and so on and so forth. And it's something that is a part of the system now. And it's very well done. I mean, it's amazing when you really understand it. And the only thing that can beat it is individual self-control and programming of the consciousness to basically understand what's taking place and to fight against the programming and not really allow yourself to go where they want you to go. It's one of the things that baffles me, that like we actually are following what the media is telling us to follow. And it's crazy to me. So, you have to ask yourself why, even with stuff like Young Turks and these other people that's out here, really what they're doing is they're talking truth, but it's really egging us on. That's all it is. And you have to understand where deception is. And even though you got people like Trevor Noah, and like I said, you don't get these positions if you're not in. You got a lot of people that's supposedly speaking up for black people, and we are like, yeah, hey, that's what's up. And they talking for us and they speaking up, and they write about what they saying, but we're not understanding it's part of the trap. It's a part of the control to us to keep the conversation going and to keep spreading the control, instead of us looking at it and saying, we know this stuff already. You don't got to tell me we know about it, we experience it. And just, sometimes you got to do things in silence. And right now it's the time for us in silence to really program our subconscious to really be successful and move forward and spread that message. Because, we see what's happening. And, movies like this First Purge and everything else we've been seeing is just more of the same programming that's trying to get them to push us somewhere we don't want to go. Understand, black people, historically, July, the most black people die in July. Historically, you can look it up yourself. Consequently, at the same time, you can look at the fact that more black people have been killed by cops in July. It's another thing. And it's just something about this month, Independence Day. And as the elite will look at it, this will be a day they will hate history-wise for what it represents. It's their defeat, plain and simple. And it's weird, when you look at the whole thing. I don't want to get into it right now. Something I'm going to talk about later. But, just want to touch on this, answer you guys questions about really programming consciousness to really get you to understand it. It's no matter what you do, the programming is out there for you to fall victim to. The fact that you're even asking questions against something that is put out there to benefit you is programming. When somebody giving you good advice, you should be like, okay, boom, let me follow this, listen to it. And it's just that a lot of people can't really get into the whole meditation thing because it has to do with something that's going to make you do something you don't really want to do. And that's sit down, be still, and shut the fuck up. Plain and simple. A lot of people can't do that. They can't just isolate themselves and shut up and be quiet and let their thoughts go, because all the bad shit and crazy shit that they go through and that they're doing in life starts to creep into their mind, and a lot of people can't handle it. It's the same reason why a lot of black folks can't read the Bible, because they know they're sinning all day, 24/7, 365. They can't read that book. They can't resonate with it because it's like, they fighting against themselves, an eternal struggle. And it's the same thing with meditation. A lot of people can't do it because their mind wanders. They don't like where it goes. They focus on their problems, not realizing that this is what you are supposed to do. And the only way your problems is going to change is if you program yourself to change them. Just that simple. Well, what else is there? What else have we done? We haven't tried this. Plain and simple. And I can only give you an example because it has worked for me, which is why I'm successful. And everybody who I know personally who follows me, they're successful. I get emails every day from people who are successful because they follow that simple plan and they understand it. It's only a few people. I have a personal group who I deal with, that I've been dealing with for years, who all successful people, all of us. We're all doing very well. And I try, what I'm doing here is really trying to get people to understand what's going on and not to get caught up too much in the Black Power and the consciousness movement that has been controlled now. It's leading y'all to the same place that the TV and music programming is trying to lead y'all, and that's into this whole militant fighting, kill whitey, and all about black people only thing, and not understanding that you everything you need. Plain and simple. It's all in you. We controlling this. All we got to do is control it, and then everybody else gonna follow suit. That's it. That's how it is. So once we figure that out, everything else will fix itself. So, I can only give y'all what I know from experience and what I've seen happen and work for many other people. So hopefully you guys take advantage of the advice. But yeah, I want to put this quick video out, and thank you guys for taking the time to watch. And thanks for supporting. Definitely get the Time DVD that's out right now, and take advantage of the sales that's still up. The Consciousness and Energy is still up and available, what have you. And thanks for everybody that's been supporting the clothes and the shoes and everything so far. There's a lot more to come on that site, and I appreciate the support. It's one of those black businesses things that a lot of black people have been supporting, so it's cool, and I appreciate it. So yeah. Personal economics, if you ain't get it, watch it. It's helping a lot of people. So definitely, benefit from it. But thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Thanks for purchasing and supporting those who have so far. A lot of you so far. I just put it up for sale. A lot of people have been buying time already. So I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next video.